I will next week. Yeah. I will rest. We're good. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, January the 26th. Call the meeting to order at 6:32, and I will ask that if you're able, you stand for our national anthem. We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people of the Three Fires Confederacy. These traditional territories upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions, and it is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources. All right, disclosures of pecuniary interest. I know that Councillor Bernardo has mentioned. I want with the public presentation for delegation. Okay. So Councillor Bernardo will just leave the chambers for that portion. Anybody else? Okay. All right, the minutes from our January 12th meeting that are in the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve those as presented? Councillor Sample, seconded by Councillor Wagner. Any discussion on those? All in favor? It's carried. Public question period. Sure. Is there anybody else out there? No. Okay. Nothing was submitted online. Okay. All right, well, that takes us to our presentation. So I'll give Councillor Bernardo a minute to vacate. Oh, entirely. So are you leaving the building entirely? In the home. So we'll come find you. Man, back. Yep. Thanks. All right, so we're joined by resident Dan Donato, and I think a neighbor perhaps. Yeah. So you were the one on the list, so I'll let you do introductions if you want, or you can just run with it.
Sure. So yes, thank you through you, Your Worship, and the rest of the council. I am here. We're here on behalf of Willow Street, and I am Dan Donato. I am here as well with Bill St. Clair, another resident of Willow Street. The third member of this street couldn't make it this evening, but he did say he's in support and is willing to send an email if required to support what we're here for tonight as well.
Okay.
So Willow Street is a bit of an odd street. It's a bit staggered, so there is two sides to it. We're just representing one side. We don't represent the other side. So the purpose of our delegation tonight is in regards to the snow clearing that's happening on Willow Street. So a bit of context and background to that. Before last year, the town was using its push snow plow to clean our sidewalk, and we have a very narrow boulevard there on that street as well. And when that boulevard snow collected on that boulevard, they would clean it into a dump truck or a truck. Beginning last year, that operation changed, and now they are pulling snow from the sidewalk, the boulevard, in addition to that 4.5 foot of snow plow, and actually creates some road that pushes it there onto our ponds track. So with this change, it has caused a couple adverse effects to the residents of this street. So the first and primary adverse effect that it is causing to us is we have a major safety concern with this. Because the sidewalk, as well as that boulevard, as well as that little portion of the road is being blown entirely onto our lawn portions there at the end, it is creating very, very large snowbanks that then don't get removed. And these snowbanks are making it we cannot see backing out of our driveways to that sidewalk or that road, creating a very significant safety issue. That sidewalk is the sidewalk that is the alleyway that leads to both the high school and the elementary school, Highland Heights there. It is very heavily traversed by both students during the day, as well as residents who like to walk their dogs into that area as well. My cameras pick it up at even 3 in the morning. Very, very heavily traveled side. So the other kind of secondary issue that we're presenting on tonight as well is in regards to that. So naturally, the town has to drop salt and sand when they clean their sidewalks and their roads. And this is collected typically in that boulevard, but because that snowplow is then picking it up and taking it and putting it onto our lawns, it is also caused last year and looking this year as well, significant lawn damage on the front of our lawns. Almost entirely destroying our front lawns because it is ultimately picking up all of that salt and sand and putting it into that place. Last year, I talked to the resident directly next door and myself. We both had to spend a couple $100 to repair our lawns to fix this issue. And ultimately, the salt and sand is inevitably going to be the point where the lawn's going to become harder and more difficult to go back. So we do like to maintain our lawns and promote a sustainable Shelburne and push that forward, and we are being inhibited from doing that. So what we're here for tonight is ultimately this seemed to be an operational decision that was made from the town last year that is different than what was being done in previous years, and it does seem to be different than the operation being performed in other parts of town when they cut back the banks or remove that. So we're requesting for council's assistance in directing staff to change this operation to no longer go onto our properties. That's all.
Okay. Short and sweet. Okay. Jim, I'll turn it over to you if that's okay. Like what was there an operational change that
Through your worship, no, there hasn't been an operational change. We still use the plows every time we go out, with the exception of the last couple of years where there has been times where blowers have to be attached to blow snow back off the roads or directed in different areas. Just as the resident mentioned, Willow Street is unique. It was retrofitted back in 2010 or 12 through 14 from a rural cross section, ditches to curb and gutter. So it actually goes from the road to a curb to a very small paved apron, sidewalk, and then the town boulevard, which actually is town property up to about the back of the vehicles when you look at it on county satellite photos.
Okay. Yes. So like that picture, for example. Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes up to the back of the vehicles that you can see in the photos from the county. That does require, like similar to Andrew Street, town is very much similar. It goes from curb, small apron to a sidewalk again. So we do have to come in occasionally and then route that back out, and it is blown out into a truck. The last couple of years, we've had to pull contractors in for the heavy snow to blow the snow into vehicles. That isn't a typical operation. We only do that when the sight lines become bad, although that street does get extra attention with the town blowers, since it does not have a lot of snow storage to it. I did check this location out as soon as I came in after Christmas holidays, so first day back January 5th. everything had been straightened up at that point, but we did have an amnesty of parking for the holidays too, which people are parked on the road, you can't plow that snow, it did get packed down, then we had a freezing rain event, which made things worse there again. But there hasn't been any operational change to that. Last year, we spent $153,000 just in blowers and dump trucks over and above our budget, which we were almost to again this year. This is much earlier this year, but we luckily, just as we were getting the contractors set up, we did have that melt that brought everything back down to standards where sightlines were manageable again. We are getting to that point again where we've had the contractors in over the weekend in different locations, and they're slowly making their way around town to improve intersections again. But it's not an intentional operational change. We're not swiping this on staff's part, but the snow does have to go somewhere, and we do try and use the boulevard area, as was mentioned. That does end up compacting grass, although it is town boulevard in those areas. Similar to my own location at home, I have to do that every year, reseed everything else.
So how many houses are along that stretch, Dan?
Sure, so 3, and if I can just, so with respect, I've been told, and we didn't notice the change last year. Previous, we had never in any previous years had the snow blowing up onto that property. Or last year, it has been the only year and year that change has happened. To us, and there are 3 houses on that stretch.
And it's like it's being blown from the trackless, like the sidewalk.
The big blower, like a big sidewalk blower that has a very large tube on it, and it's being blown from that up.
And your suggestion is that in years previous, it was a sidewalk plow instead of the blower?
And when the banks got high, that I don't know, it could have been that same machine, but it ultimately put it into a truck as opposed to monopods. Last year, you had 4 or 5 times, just typically once a month, the banks got high enough. Trucking it. Last year, we had 1 time at the end of March with both complaining that it was on the truck, the rest of the winter was blown up for comments. And with respect to Andrew Street, we did look at that street to compare it. Our street has driveways that directly go onto the sidewalk road. Andrew Street is going on to, they have the back alleyway driveways. This is, in their situation, it's not very it's a safety situation.
So is there any way, Jim, to address the concerns they have?
Through worship, as mentioned before, we do go in similar to Andrew Street. We blade stuff out and then we haul it away in trucks. Our major concern is with minimum maintenance standards as our defense with the province against any liability is to cover the streets within our time period allotted by the traffic volume and the speed of the road. So that's anywhere from 12 hours to 24 hours when we hit a depth of 8 centimeters. So we do get back to that when we can, similar to Andrew Street, and then haul it away. But it is not an operational change. This year has been a lot of complaints coming in. It's nonstop on the phone all day long with everybody. A lot of places are, again, they've converted the lawn to parking, which wasn't approved through any process, and they're blowing it out onto the street or on the boulevard and then into large piles that they want taken away because they can't see when they get out of the driveway. But it's an unusual year. Last year was heavy with snow, same as the year before. The most I've seen in my almost 10 years down. Throw back to the good old days of snow again, and this year was even earlier. So,
and that's kind of what I'm wondering is that there may not be any sort of intentional change. It's just because last year and this year have been so heavy in terms of snowfall that the focus, as you said, has to be on minimum maintenance standards. So there's less spare time to go out and do some of that extra cleanup work where in years previous, there wasn't as much snow to plow on the roads on a regular basis. The guys had extra time to do that. Okay. I was, as I mentioned to you before, I think we're going to talk about snowbank removal and stuff in general. I was going to bring it up a little later under council inquiries, but we can do it now since we're sort of on that subject. So you said last year we were $153,000 over budget because we contracted outfits to
That
come
was
in.
just strictly on contract blowers and dump trucks, strictly no other staff labor time, just to haul it over to our snow melt area, park there.
And I know you said we've started doing that again this year. It's much earlier, I think, this year than it was last year. And the focus on that sort of, effort is intersections and like main sightline areas. But as you mentioned too, I think all of us have been receiving comments, complaints, whatever you want to call it, from people throughout town. And I get it, in a sense, because, the snow is so high that there's just nowhere for people to put it. Like what options do we have in terms of sort of a wider scale effort to remove snow?
Through your worship, we would have to look at increasing the budget and equipment and staff. There's been a lot of call this year for, and there is every year, for traps on the end of the wings of plows to stop snow going into driveways.
We've talked about that several times.
I've looked into that every year, and they say that they're broken down more than they are on the road, and when they're working, they're 4 times longer. So we have 3 trucks, they take 3.5 hours to do a route. So that you multiply that out by 4, you're getting very close to, if not over, some of your minimum maintenance standards. So it would have to be in addition. So you're looking at extra equipment, extra staff, and then extra storage, as we're just getting to an expansion of Buxton Way. What we need right now, this would be over and above again. We have to look at storage vehicles and whatnot. Heavier equipment needs like a heavier grader, which we don't have, because usually that's for gravel roads or off the loader or backhoe, so we have to purchase more equipment as well. It's an expensive endeavor, but it's not impossible.
Is there an option to contract that stuff? Like just the removal portion?
That is possible too. I'm not aware of any contractors in the area that have these chutes that stop snow from going into driveways, but that is possible to, again, have the contractors on call to blow the snow into trucks, but again, it's not reflected in our current budget for this year, 2026, 2027.
To be honest, I'm less concerned about the snow that gets pushed, at the end of driveways when you're plowing. I mean, that's one of the realities of living where we do, but the piece of like coming in and removing extra snow that's built up, like that part, I think we could in theory contract out.
Through your worship, yes, we could.
How difficult would it be for you to sort of get a number on that?
Myself, we got 4 here and I'm on vacation for a bit, but we can look into that and get back to council on that. Pricing it to purchase the equipment ourselves for the tractor blower. Need more trucks again, but it's good looking anyway. Get back to council on that, which
I think it's worth taking
a
a
conversation
for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to overload you with a make work project, but I mean, if it's not a ton of effort, maybe even to compare the contracting price versus, what it would take if we were to buy the equipment, staff it ourselves.
through your worship, we might have a very good idea of that. Our staff did meet with contractors again today. Potentially, if we initially set up with one contractor, we do have other options there. So if we touch base with another contractor in case we have to pull another crew in just to work with that. So we should have some fairly decent numbers there to get together fairly quickly.
Okay.
And I just wanted to bring back to the delegation, we're not concerned about driveways, end of roads or anything, none of that affects our parking on lawns, none of that is our thing. Our thing is the banks are getting, last year they went to 15 feet high, cameras couldn't pick them up that were 15 feet there, someone's going to get hurt on that sidewalk, and it is a unique situation to our street, the Andrew Street doesn't share that same situation.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we're probably all on the same page that the stuff at the end of the driveway it's just one of the realities. But the bank's getting to a certain height. Yeah, I understand. it's difficult because despite your efforts to clean a driveway, at some point you want to places to put the snow. And even if it's not so much a storage issue, it can become an issue in terms of sightlines. So I get that. But I guess our next step is to find out sort of what the cost is to expand our operations to deal with that. Yeah, and I get your point that Willow Street may be different from other areas in town too, so we can look at that as well. You know, I think as well as anybody, that if we do it in one area, then. Yeah. Right, so I think we have to kind of look at the whole scope of things and then start to narrow it down to areas where it may actually.
Yeah.
But I think until we kind of know what those prices are, it's difficult for us to shoot in the dark and say, sure, let's go do it.
This is definitely a unique situation on Old Boulevard. You can't store anything. It's, so there is no boulevard, exactly, so it just,
What is
it's
it?
weird, it's like,
It's maybe a foot.
Yeah. yeah. It's like it's not supposed to have a sidewalk, but it does. Like it's really weird with not only having that foot, right? So.
Sorry, Alex? Sure, yeah, maybe just for anybody else watching, I mean, we have it. in
Yeah,
our
just,
council
I guess
package,
people, yeah, the
Yeah.
community can understand what we mean by Willow Street being sort of specifically
Yeah,
needing
so,
extra help.
so it's that paved apron between the curb and the edge of the sidewalk, and as Jim says, this street initially had ditches. And when it was brought up to urban standards, I mean, yeah, we put in sidewalks and storm sewers, but just.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough geography there to actually create normal grass boulevards that we would have in a development that's designed that way.
Yeah.
Through your worship, the town boulevard though does go up to the back of the red van shown in the photo.
Yeah.
You can see it right off county mapping and everything, so that is actually town property that would normally be used for snow storage on grass areas.
But how long have the sidewalks been in?
Yeah, we see.
Decades.
2012, 2010, in that area,
Yeah.
it was on a 3 or 4 year retrofit.
Yeah.
In that whole area, so.
Is there anything in the interim that can be done to alleviate some of this?
How high are the banks? Now, to be honest, I mean, I don't really have a reason to go down that section of Willow Street very often. I will take a drive by tomorrow, but
Yeah,
like how high are they?
I think all of us residents, we've been trying to adjust. I mean, I'm lucky my neighbor, the other side of my brother's like, just shoot it in his backyard, which works. But again, you can say I get lost too. It doesn't, you guys all trying to avoid using those portions of our lawns, in all fairness, knowing that we may lose that ability again. Really don't want to hit somebody going to school, walking their dog. And they are getting to that point, you've been mapping it tonight, all you can see is the top 2%, you cannot see somebody.
I remember that on William Street too, actually, when we first moved in. I tell it to people all the time, I'm like, you wouldn't see somebody walk down the sidewalk, that's how much snow we used to get, so it's not, yeah, we're back to that, which is kind of strange, but I get your point, because it's even getting high on William Street too.
Well, we understand sidewalk has to
Yeah.
be somewhere, but not the road.
Yeah,
That's a
and,
lot more than what's on the sidewalks.
Yeah,
and ultimately that other higher part of Boulevard never gets cut back. Then at no point last winter, they get cut back, so it just continuously grew.
yeah, because I guess they would mainly clear off the boulevards, right, not necessarily the other side, and so that'll keep them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other thoughts, Jim?
Through your worship, just that I was down there last week, the banks were cut down as low as they could be, so there's been snow within that period, so at that point. There was no snow within that area, the town staff that dealt with it, blowing it back. Or in vehicles, I'm not sure what Brad and Will had done at that point there, but it looks like to me it was blowing it up towards the school, maybe into the school area. No doubt there's more snow than there would have been last week, but we just don't go around and blow it every single trip around that we do.
All right. Okay, well, leave it with us, let us. Well, let's get some answers on the costs and everything else, and see if we can find a solution.
Is there we can follow up with or? This,
Who have you been talking to?
so when I submitted this delegation, I got a call on Thursday from which I'm putting the pieces together now. I was in a meeting, didn't answer. Bill did last week as well, but we don't get responses for 3-4 weeks at a time. So it's really just how do you follow up to get more response?
How do you want to leave that, Jim?
Our staff was trying to follow up and they couldn't get through on the phone calls, so.
Okay.
Once they did get through, I hope that was the explanation for it, but
email easier.
They tried to get a hold of us,
yes.
had no recordings.
So you're
And they was told me I had a
log on Thursday and the one of the previous before that.
Is email easier?
Any communication, we just want communication.
Okay.
Brad had talked about moving snow from our boulevard up to that field up by the high school. Loader.
Do we have Dan's email delegation request? Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
See what we can do.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on snow? Yes. Okay, we can do that. All right. See you out there.
You sure that's specific to that?
Didn't you mention this?
Yeah, I just got to. Well,
I don't want to read out loud. Yeah.
That's
I know.
all right, so next up is proclamation for Black History Month. So that proclamation reads as follows: whereas Black History Month is an opportunity to acknowledge and honor the historical and present contributions of Black Canadians and recognize their significant contributions made to Canada. And whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by Black Canadians to our collective economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and political development. And whereas the town of Shelburne recognizes and values the significant contributions and advances Black Canadians have made and continue to make to Canadian society, and recognize the quest of Black Canadians for equal opportunity and freedom from discrimination in Canada. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Wade Mills, on behalf of council, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in the town of Shelburne, and encourage all residents to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture, continue our efforts to make Shelburne an inclusive community for all. Council inquiries.
Just off,
Sorry,
and I'm just gonna
Go ahead.
say, just off the back of that proclamation, February 22nd. Grace Tippling Hall, there will be celebrations for the Black History Month. Then add your calendar.
Good. Time for that?
6, I believe it's 6 or 6:30. Say 6 to 8.
Okay.
It's Saturday.
Excellent. Councilor Stoll?
Again, just on snow, Simon Court, the court that's just off of behind Duff Oaks there. I had a call on the weekend, the fella just came back from vacation. And it wasn't a wing that we did, we actually pushed snow into his driveway.
Really?
Yeah.
Through your worship, we did go through that with the resident last week who was quite adamant about that. A lot of that looked like drifting that was in the photo, not driveway plugged off.
Yes.
But we did say that we talked to our operators to make sure it wasn't who operator was unfamiliar with carrying it around a bit further. Again, corners are difficult. Any corner
Yeah,
in town.
but it looks like what they're doing is when they're plowing, because it's a court, they're plowing the middle and they're just pushing it all towards the front of this property. And I understand there was drifting, yeah, there was a lot of drifting, so when I got on the residence, there was drifting in the driveway. But there was big hunks of road
Yeah.
structure that were pushed into the edge of the driveway.
And we did say that we follow up with the supervisor. I'm not sure where that ended up from
I
Friday.
got, cause there's a whole slew of area there, so to alleviate that I
But
saw.
they don't plow into the cul-de-sac, they plow around with the wing coming off on the right-hand
Yeah,
side.
but this wasn't wing. This was actually when they pushed the plow through the middle of the court. Pushed it right to the
All
corner.
I can think is it must be a unfamiliar operator, because normally that's
That's what I
carry
thought,
that around and.
that's what I
drop
thought
it
too,
At the park area on the
that's
west
what I
side.
thought, just an unfamiliar operator.
Hopefully a one-off.
Hopefully a one-off, but. And then second one is. For Jennifer, I got a call from a resident that received a ticket. For parking over the sidewalk. I don't know how you knew what the sidewalk was, 'cause I didn't know where the sidewalk was until I straight drive sidewalk down. And the car was not over the sidewalk. So I just wanna make sure. I talked to the residents, he understands the situation. And I explained it to him. But again, if might be a challenging part of our part if we're not aware of what the sidewalk is. So,
Your worship. So, bylaw officers do take photos and are ensuring that our comprehension of the bylaw. So whether if it means having to remove snow to ensure.
yes, so I'm assuming the photo was taken. From the sidewalk machine that went through the middle of the boulevard, didn't stay on the sidewalk.
The sidewalk is just on.
But I know they didn't take photos, but the sidewalk plow went through the boulevard,
Oh,
wasn't on the sidewalk, kind of made a new sidewalk. So it looked like a sidewalk, but it really wasn't the same. What I'm saying.
if you have an address, I can do
Yeah.
further research and get back to you.
Yeah. And do. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Bernardo?
Welcome. Snowmobilers, I've had residents call saying that they see snowmobilers in the cemetery. We don't have trails in the cemetery, do we? Okay,
Around the
So
cemetery.
they actually say around.
Crosses over through that.
they were in the cemetery, I
Yeah.
guess, they don't know where they maybe were supposed to go, but they were in the cemetery itself, is what I was told, so. That's why I wondered if we suddenly created trails in the cemetery. The other one is same thing.
Sorry to interrupt through your worship. So the cemetery is actually located in the township.
Oh, it's not ours, in our property,
No.
in our area, that's interesting.
So
I
the
always thought
township
it
of
was part of
Melancthon
the town.
bylaws apply to that.
Okay,
The township of Melancthon bylaws would apply to the cemetery property.
so. Does he like to have a bylaw office?
They do contract it out. I believe it's the town of Orangeville that is contracting out their bylaw services too.
Never
So, yeah.
done, here for that.
Yeah.
The other thing is same thing with snowmobiles again, unfortunately, I do see them from time to time on sidewalk and going down through the Canfield walkway as well. And I don't know if it's just young guys that don't care or whatever, but, they do, so maybe notify the local snowmobile club and plus put out whatever we can on social media saying, please do not go on sidewalks and for snowmobiles and can't walkway. And my second thing, fire hydrants. Old Village Lane, there are 2 fire hydrants on our street. They're buried completely. You cannot even find them if you didn't know where that yellow stand was up. And they're not because they're being buried because of people blowing their driveways. They're not near driveways. And they're not convenient for somebody with a snowblower to go out there and try to blow them out. So we need, in years past, we've used the payloader to go through and clean them up. And get them out because basically it's the town plows, plowing, unfortunately. They get buried from the snow that's being pushed over from the road. Okay,
Your worship, staff has been out like working on them, but it's again with the drifting snow, it's been a losing battle. So they have been out over the Christmas holidays and continue to clean out around the hydrants, but it's taking them so long to get around everything that you're longing to restart it before you can make it around, so.
these ones haven't been touched at all, so Jim, if you can get them out there, that'd be nice. Unfortunately, I know they're busy, I can tell they're busy, so the amount of snow that's unfortunately sure they don't get it. But these haven't been touched, and like I said, they are totally buried, so they need to be cleaned up, because if there was a fire on that street, there's no way the firefighters could even get here.
So it's on Canfield?
No, it's on Old Village Lane.
Oh, okay.
Okay, both of them are on Old Village Lane, and both, because of the odd places that they are, normally fire hydrants are near sidewalks.
Yeah.
But these are on the opposite side of the street, where there is no sidewalk, and that's why they're probably. And then again, like I said, they're not even near driveways or anything, so people can get a snow blower out to clean them up. They're kind of in an odd place.
And
So,
utility staff does know where they are, but they do have to do their normal route stuff before they can go out.
Yeah.
And start doing snow removal around the hydrants, so we are staff member short right now in utilities, so we've replaced that position with the new person starting February 2nd, which will help as well. But with the weather conditions the way they are, it has been a losing battle for them, so they get through this in one day and go right back and start over on what they've done again.
It's a losing battle for all of us, because right now I can't even blow over the snow out of my driveway. It just comes right back at me, even though I took the snow anyway, way else. And just sort of another question, because the ends of the driveways are now getting so high that it's difficult for people to see getting out. Are we going to get a contractor into
That was part of what we discussed when you were
outside?
Yeah.
So there is a contractor.
So we're doing some contracting work now in intersections, areas where there's visibility issues, but we asked Jim if he could go back before sort of setting up the cost, if we could do that on a larger scale.
Yeah, because I know we did it, Doug, what's his last name?
Okay.
McKechnie used to do it every year for us with the tractor. And clean it up, at least the ends anyway, so that people can see where they're going. Because that's where I have my biggest issues, at the end of the driveway between what cleaned up, not. Yeah, the pickup I can see through my way with the SUV, gives it a chance.
And for your worship again, the contractor did start on the weekend on that, and we're looking at a second contractor as well, if need be, to come in and back them up as well.
Okay.
Would be more or less intersections in that, not boulevards of every house all over town sort of thing either. So, yes,
Eventually, we will get to that too.
we're hoping not. In the past couple of years, that is what we've had to do. And that did put our budget over $153,000 last year, just in haulage and that additional load. So it does come with a cost.
Yeah, I know it comes with a cost, but
But that's what we've asked for is we
we
get some
need that
numbers.
report, yeah, because even the roads are narrowing in as well.
Yeah.
It's not only just the banks.
Need some warm weather.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need some warm weather. So you're
Warm weather,
melted a bit.
we're supposed to be getting another load of
I
snow
know.
tomorrow.
411 hurt now.
All right, any other inquiries? No, okay. So the first item is a bylaw to authorize our execution of an agreement with the Solicitor General. And this is regarding a fire protection grant. I'm gonna ask Carrie if she could just kind of explain why it is that we do it this way.
Sure, thank you, through the mayor. Fire department, because they're a board of management, cannot apply directly for these types of grants. It has to go through a municipality. So fire department goes through the town of Shelburne. We apply for it, we get, if we're successful, we get the funds, then money to the fire department. So this grant is for $19,626, and it's a continuation of the grant that they received last year to assist with outfitting all firefighters with a second set of pump, as well as a hose washer within this year's application. Decontamination.
All right, any questions on that?
Just a comment. I note that no other municipality on the Board of Management seems to jump up on the five piece. So it seems to be us.
Well, I think that was Carrie's point. So the fire chief does the application, right? And it's really more of a formality because the grant can only be awarded to a municipality. And because the governing legislation recognizes fire services as being a part of the municipality. That's the way it has to happen. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So can I have a motion then to authorize, for the bylaw to authorize council to execute the agreement between the town and His Majesty the King? By Deputy Mayor Hall, seconded by Councillor Fegan. All in favor? It's carried. All right, next one. A rather lengthy resolution, which I'll read in its entirety because I think it's important, and then if there's any discussion, we can have that afterwards. So, whereas the town of Shelburne is a participating municipality in the Shelburne and District Fire Board, which provides fire protection services pursuant to joint agreements among participating municipalities. And whereas the town maintains that the fire board and participating municipalities are governed by the fire protection agreement executed in 2019, which was fully executed by all participating municipalities upon the town's execution in 2025. And whereas Section 18A of the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement permits participating municipality to terminate its participation in the fire board by providing notice within the first 60 days of the fiscal year, such termination to be effective for the following fiscal year. And whereas the town intends to withdraw from participation in the fire board in accordance with Section 18 of the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement and to reestablish fire protection services as a direct municipal service of the town. And whereas the town acknowledges that Sections 18B and E of the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement govern the financial, asset-related, and service delivery consequences of withdrawal, including responsibility for debt, capital asset valuation and redistribution, and the option to receive fire services on a fee-for-service basis. Now therefore be it resolved that 1, pursuant to Section 18A of the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement, the town hereby gives written notice effective as of the date of this resolution of its intention to terminate its participation in the Shelburne District Fire Board. 2, the town's termination of participation under the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement shall take effect at the start of the following fiscal year in accordance with Section 18A of the agreement. 3, the town acknowledges that upon termination, financial obligations, asset valuation, redistribution, and any applicable payment arrangements shall be addressed in accordance with Sections 18B, C, and D, the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement. 4, the town confirms its willingness to negotiate arrangements for the continued provision of fire protection, fire prevention, and fire inspection services on a fee-for-service basis in accordance with Section 18E of the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement. 5, the fire hall remains the sole and exclusive property of the town, subject only to previously agreed capital improvements reflected in the fire board's records. Effective upon the town's withdrawal from the fire board and all other participating municipalities shall cease all use and occupation of the fire hall. 6, this resolution is intended to implement and give effect to the town's previously stated intent to withdraw from the fire board in reliance on the 2019 Fire Protection Agreement and shall be read consistently with the resolution adopted by council on December 15th, 2025 And finally, number 7, staff are authorized and directed to deliver this notice to all participating municipalities on the Shelburne and District Fire Board and to take all necessary administrative steps to give effect to this resolution. So is there a mover and seconder for that motion? Moved by Councillor Donato, seconded by Councillor Fegan. We have a recorded vote. Yeah. Any discussion on that first? Deputy Mayor Hall.
So again, I just want to make certain that it's clear that while we'll support the motion this evening, we still need to take every step reasonable to come to a resolution with our municipal partners. This is ultimately the direction that we'd like to go, but there's other steps that need to be taken, and this just starts that clock, basically giving it 1 year. So really understanding that we still need to work towards resolution with those municipal partners.
And I agree, and I can confirm that those discussions are continuing. And that intent, I think, is embedded right in the resolution too, that, you know, we're confirming our willingness to negotiate, and that is still our preferred outcome. But as the deputy mayor says, this formally starts the clock so that we're not losing any time, and we are providing the notice within the prescribed period that the agreement dictates. So. Any other comments?
The only other comment I would make is that this is developing the idea that.
Yeah.
You said the clock is ticking, the time is up, and got a limited amount of time to come to some form of agreement. If not, then I would like to vote.
Okay, so a recorded vote has been requested, so Madam Clerk, I'll ask you to do that.
Okay, yes or no? Deputy Mayor Hall,
Yes.
Councilor Bernard,
Yes.
Councilor Fegan,
Yes.
Councilor Kushner,
Yes.
Councilor Sample,
Yes.
Zuliga,
Yes.
Mayor Miss.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, are there any notices of motion on the floor this evening? Okay. All right, on to communications then. Relatively short list tonight, but is anything in there that anybody wants to pull out? Councilor Whitener?
Maybe just number 3, if Carrie can kind of speak, has there been any, it's just impact, so has there been any word at all? We're still going off of what, 2016?
Yeah.
So is there any, nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm just really scared. It's been 10 years.
But I think they are too. Yeah.
I'm really getting like anxious about this because we're all going to have obviously at some point an assessment, and I'm assuming obviously, but again, I don't love to assume because we all know what that means, but I'm hopeful that there'll have to be some sort of phase in. I mean, I don't think that they can just be like, bam, this is what you're gonna owe, right? But
With Gary.
it would
So-
100%.
In analyzing it, got an assessment up here and tax rate is here. Opposite.
Yes,
And they increase the assessment.
yes,
Tax rate's going to drop to offset
okay. All right, so that would help at
Yes.
least, okay.
Yeah,
That makes me feel better.
because I mean, if the assessed value throughout the town increased dramatically and our tax rate stayed the same, I mean, yeah, like I don't know what the arithmetic is, but I mean, we would generate
that. A lot more.
significantly
a lot
more
more.
than what we're anticipating, right? So we could reduce the tax rate
Right.
to at least
That-
help short
Like that. Okay.
but that's not the only solution.
And-
They need to figure something
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, 100%, because I still think that would be a lot, right?
And I think that's what they're struggling with, like they don't know what to do themselves, so
Yeah.
that's why it's taking some.
Cause I'm just like, oh, everything is going up and I don't know how I'm going to live. So, okay.
So,
Great.
I recognize then just a motion to receive the communication items. Wagner and Counselor Sample, all in favor? It's carried. All right, next up is closed session. There's a couple of items listed there. As we normally do, the live stream will stop when we go into closed session. Because there really is not going to be any reporting out, we're just simply receiving some information items. And the only items after that is the procedural bylaw. If everybody's okay, I think we'll let Alice shut down. She can get started on her drive home, so the live stream won't re-engage after we come back into open session. But anybody who's here, you're more than welcome to stick around and come back in. It's just the live stream won't pick up after regular session. It really is. And that's the thing, but there's nothing anyway. If there were, we deal with it. There isn't. Okay, so can I have a motion that according to sections 239 sub 2A and H of the Municipal Act, the council enters into closed session for the purpose of the security of the property of the municipality or local board and information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, province or territory, or a crown agency of any. By Councillor Richardi, seconded by Councillor Fegan. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, so give everybody a minute to get shut down. I don't think we'll be that long.